Welcome, education builders. I am so excited about today's lesson because I know by the end of this lesson we are going to master our goal of learning how to apply, use, and recognize the order of operations. I want you to not only be able to master these operations in school, but in your everyday real world life. Let's get ready to learn. Welcome again, education builders. I first want to start off.
Guys, what are you guys doing?
Vocabulary for today's lesson, order of operations. We're going to start off by defining the word algebra. Algebra is a type of math that takes an unknown and makes it known. It's basically finding the answer to something that you don't know for real world situations. Next, we're going to define expression. An expression is a mathematical phrase that contains numbers, operations, and or variables. Now let's go over this again. It contains numbers, operations. Operations are simply adding, subtracting, multiplying, or dividing. So an expression contains either addition, subtraction, multiplication, or division, and or, so it doesn't have to contain variables, but it can. And remember, variables are symbols. In algebra, you'll normally see those as letters. We're also going to define the word evaluate. When it says to evaluate something in algebra, it's asking you to find the value or the answer of an expression. So if you're given this to evaluate it, you're finding the answer. Next, we're going to define variable. A variable is a symbol used to represent a quantity that can change. Remember we talked about variable earlier, and we said they were symbols. Algebra, most of the time, you see them represented as letters. Any letter can be a variable. So A is a variable, X is a variable, even the letter Y is a variable. And it says, used to represent a quantity that can change. Basically, that's saying, hey, A can be 5, X can be 100, Y can be 1,000,000. It just depends on what the problem is. Next, we're going to define exponent, because you'll see exponents in the order of operations. An exponent is a number that shows repeated multiplication. And let me show you what they're talking about. See these two examples that I have here? The little number in the upper right-hand corner is what we call an exponent. This big number is the base, the little number is the exponent. It's in the upper right-hand corner. And you can also call it a power. Now the definition says it's a number that shows repeated multiplication. What is the exponent in this first example? You're right, it's 3. So what that's telling you to do is multiply 2 to itself 3 times. This is telling you to do 2 times 2 times 2. How many times are we multiplying 2 to itself? 1, 2, 3 times. So let's figure out what that would be. 2 times 2 is 4. And 4 times 2, because we're multiplying this 4 to the last 2, is what? 8.
Okay, let's get away.
Very good. Let's go over this next example and see if we can figure it out. What is the exponent in this problem? Very good. It's the number 2. So how many times are we going to multiply 5 to itself? We have 5 times 5.
Pick up the choice, pick up the choice, pick up the choice.
How many 5s do we have here multiplying together?
It's time to eat.
Isn't our exponent 2? So 5 times 5 is 25. That's what an exponent is. It's a small number in the upper right-hand corner. It tells you how many times you can multiply this big number in the space to itself. Now we're going to define order of operations. This is the goal of our lesson today. This is what we're going to be learning about. Order of operations is the rule needed to let you know which operation is to be performed first when given multiple operations. See, sometimes in problems, you'll be given a problem that has addition, multiplication, division, and subtraction. And you need to know which one I do first. So that's what order of operations is. And we'll go over that in detail in a little bit. But it's going to tell you what you do first. So now we're going to talk about the order of operations in a little bit more detail. Let's go back over that definition. The order of operations is the rule needed to let you know which operation is to be performed first when given multiple operations. Now remember what an operation is? Operations are addition, subtraction, multiplication, or division. And the order of operations is going to let you know which one of these to perform first or which one of these to do first if you have more than one operation. So say you have addition, subtraction, and multiplication. You need to know whether you add first or whether you multiply first. So that's what we're going to go over. And here is the steps for the order of operation. There's 4 basic steps to let you know what order to perform your steps in. The first step is to perform operations inside of grouping symbols. If you have any grouping symbols, you always want to do that first. Now you might ask yourself, what is a grouping symbol? A grouping symbol can look like this. You'll have something inside of these things. They're called parentheses, or sometimes they'll be squared off. And the name of that grouping symbol is called brackets. And sometimes they'll be a little squiggly. They'll look like this. It might have numbers in there, addition in there. These are called braces. These are all grouping symbols. And also, fractions are considered a grouping symbol. So if you have a fraction, you want to take care of that fraction first. You might be asking me, what if I have more than one grouping symbol? Well, if you have more than one grouping symbol, you always want to work from the inside grouping symbol to the outside grouping symbol. We're going to go over some problems like that. The next step, the second step in order of operations, is you want to evaluate all the powers. Remember what a power is? What's the other name for a power? We talked about that earlier. A power is also called an exponent. And remember, the exponent tells you how many times to multiply that base to itself. So you want to start off with the grouping symbols. Once you take care of your grouping symbols, then you want to go and evaluate. You want to find the answers to all your numbers or variables that have exponents on them. The third step in the order of operations is you want to multiply and or divide in order from left to right. So once you've done these first 2 steps, you want to look at your problem, and if you have any multiplication or division, you just start from the left, and if you hit a multiplication sign or a division sign, you're going to multiply. Keep going from left to right, and you're going to multiply or divide. You don't do any addition or subtraction until the end. Addition and subtraction is the very end of operations. That should be the last step. And you're going to add and or subtract in order from left to right. Hi, education builders. Now remember, we just went over those steps for order of operations. And if you got a little confused, don't worry about it, because I have an easier way for you to remember those steps. Remember, the first step was to evaluate or work out everything in grouping symbols. Now I have an acronym right here, and I just want you to remember the word GEMDAS. We've got GEMDAS. GEMDAS. Now remember that first step? What did we want to work out first? Very good. This G is standing for the grouping symbols. You want to work out